Delta is now in full spawn mode. The bass are moving into shallow water, but they're not easy to catch. It's been weather dependent this last week. So with that, let's take a look at a few pictures, and then we'll get right into the report. Hi everyone, thanks for joining me. You're watching In Deep on the Delta. This is the weekly report for April 30th. You can see I'm tucked in here at Paradise Point and behind the old store here. Out on the point, it is howling out there. The wind's probably blowing about 20 miles an hour, so we're saving our audio up, getting in here out of the wind, and a little change of scenery this week. With that, let's talk about what's going on in the Delta, and we'll get into the full report. Remember the Bass and Badges tournament being held today, April 3rd and 4th, Thursday and Friday out at B&W Marina. If you want to go out there and support the people wearing badges, the people that are generally out there protecting us and keeping us safe, head on out to B&W. I'll be out there tomorrow at about 3 o'clock for the weigh-in. You can go out and support the anglers. With that, good luck, guys. Be safe out there, and we'll see you out on the river. Next, what do we need to talk about? Let's talk about Clear Lake. I got a report from Nino Spella out at Clear Lake Outdoors, and Nino is saying that Clear Lake has been weather dependent also the last couple of weeks, or actually the last week. They've had a lot of weather come in and out. He's calling it bipolar weather. So the lake has dropped temperature. I think he said, what I got here is, I guess a week or two ago, water temperatures were right around 60 degrees. They've had some cold nights. Around the creek channels and stuff, you're getting 52 to 53 degree water temps, and then out on the main lake right now, you're talking about 53 to 56 degree water temperatures. The bites slowed down a little bit. Big fish are still out prowling around. A lot of the guys, well, not a lot of them, but I know Nino was out last week. He picked up a 7-pounder and an 8.5-pounder. Nino was throwing swim baits. And you guys know Nino, he knows what he's doing out there, so don't think you're going to go up there and have a grand time catching a bunch of big fish just because you're throwing swim baits. But the guys that know what they're doing are catching big fish on swim baits. If you want to catch numbers, you can cruise the shore, and for a lot of 12 to 14-inch fish, taking brush hogs and Cincos. Everything is going to really be weather dependent for the next week or so. We'll see what happens with that, and we'll keep in contact with Clear Lake Outdoors. I want to thank Nino for giving me that report. What's going on out here on the Delta? Well, a lot of wind, a lot of rain, and we've had some nasty conditions. We'll go over a couple of the tournaments that were held last week, but let's start off with stripers. And I'm not getting a lot of reports. I think the weather has kept a lot of the guys, a lot of the striper guys at home. The reports that are coming in, people are catching fish. And I guess on a positive side, there's fewer shorts showing up and more fish in that keeper size, the 24-inch size. If you're looking for bigger fish, most of those fish are coming on the troll. If you're looking for numbers, you can throw out and throw plugs and kind of bass baits, your jerk baits, crank baits, spinner baits have been catching the smaller stripers. And they're out there. They're filtered throughout the system, and what it's going to do is it's going to take a little more stable weather for those fish to kind of congregate, people to get out there and start changing information or sharing information, and really find out where those fish are and where to head out next week if you're looking for stripers. Right now, all I could say is they're spread through the system from the Port of Stockton. I know they're up in Liberty. They're out at Sherman. I know Alan Fong has reported throwing plugs in shallow water, on the flats, 2 to 4 feet. He's catching fish. They're all over. So, take your pick, get out there, catch a few fish, wait for the wind to die down. So that's the striper situation. Let's talk about the largemouth bass. I know that's what most of you are interested in. We'll talk about a couple of tournaments that were held last week. We had the BBT that was out there Saturday, March 29th. 46 boats, took 27-3 to win. Top four places were 27-3 to win, 25-5, 24-9, and 21-2. Really good weights. Took 16-4 to cash a check. Midfield was about 12-6, right in there around midfield. They had 2 fish over 7 pounds in that tournament and 3 or 4 fish over 6 pounds. So that was a pretty successful tournament as far as the fishing goes. I want to congratulate Mark Casey and Ed Christo for the win. They were the team that had the 27 pound bag. So great job for them. Sunday was out at the Bass Hole Tournament. I'll have a full recap on that. I think I put it up yesterday. Check that out if you want to see what happened out at the Bass Hole Tournament. I've got a lot of good interviews on that. That was held Sunday out at Russo's. 27 boats. It took 27-4 to win, 21-2 for second, 20.8 for third. They had a couple of big fish that were 6'7", 6'7", 1, 6'7", 2. They were only like a tenth of an ounce away. Midfield was about 13 pounds, and that was again out of 27 boats. So what's going on and what's going to happen this week, who knows? It really depends on the weather. I can tell you that even though the wind this weekend was blowing, I'll say 20 to 30, 35 miles an hour, the guys that were out there fishing those tournaments had some pretty big weights. Most of the people that I talked to were fishing very shallow, and we're talking about 1 to 2 feet of water. A lot of them are catching them with worms and jigs. There's some punch fish being caught. If you're fishing open water, a lot of the fish were being taken on chatterbaits and spinner baits. A lot of folks are talking about seeing big fish in the shallows. Not a lot of folks are seeing fish locked onto beds, and there hasn't been a lot of bed fishing going on. That's probably because of the wind. It's just, with this wave chop on the water and the wind, it's hard to pull up on a bed and fish it. I know Joey Price has been out. He's been doing well. He's been guiding clients to big bags of fish. They're out there. Most people are not finding that they go out and are able to just bang, 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 bang all along, all throughout the day. The high outgo or the low incoming tide are the two tides that you want to fish, and it's really been tide specific and weather specific. The patterns are sporadic, and it's just been tough fishing. What have I been doing out here? Well, I went out, I believe it was last Friday, had a beautiful day with my son Nathan. I'll have a video up of that day coming up next week. Caught some nice fish. We're having a great time. Had a really nice morning as far as weather and fishing. About 2 o'clock there was supposed to be a little weather come in. And when I say a little weather, it was 10 to 15 with a chance of showers. About the time we get ready to come back in, we found more like 20 to 25 with heavy rain. Got a little video of us coming back from up north, and it was not a pleasant ride home, believe me. With that being said, we found our up close to wood and rock, and tule, fishing with worms. I believe these fish were not on beds, but the bigger fish were coming in and they were cruising around the shallows. We had to make long casts, and we had to make sure that we were around suitable spawning bottom. When we were in heavy vegetation, a lot of witch's hair, that was not productive. We would move through that quickly until we found an area that had a little more current in it or had something in it that was able to clean out the bottom, and that's where the bigger fish were holding. So with that, it's been all over the board. Patterns have been hard to come by, and it's been really weather dependent. Again, the high outgo tide or the low incoming tide, the first couple hours of each of those tides has been what most people are catching their fish on. So with that, let's wait and see what the weather does. Be safe out there if you're going out in the high winds, and make sure you're wearing your life vest and keep safe. So I want to thank you guys for watching. If you go out and have a good day, or if you have a bad day, make sure you still send me a report. If you have a good day, send me a picture of one of the fish that you catch, and we'll get that up on the next week's report. With that, thank you guys for watching. We'll see you next week. Good luck until then.